Good afternoon and welcome to the March 2026 meeting of the Madison Historic District Board of Review. Brenna, could we have a roll call, please?
Chris Cody.
Present.
Happy Smith.
Present.
Bill Jewell.
Present.
Kim McWilliams.
Present.
Ryan Rogers.
Present.
Jared Anderson.
Present.
Jed Skillman.
Present. Has everyone had a chance on the board to take a look at the minutes from last month's meeting? Any changes, differences, anything? Do we hear a motion to accept?
I move we approve the minutes as submitted.
Do we have a second?
I second that.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right. Let's see now. I understand that our 1229 West Main is tabled and we're not doing.
Bill.
Yes, the applicants have requested to table this, and it is already on the table, so we can move on. with
And Michael
no
O'Day
motion.
on the next one is also tabled.
No, he is here.
Here, okay.
Bill, tell our guests how the meeting's going to work.
We're working on that. We'll conduct the meeting tonight by having either you as the homeowner or the homeowner and their rep or both come up to the podium, adjust the mic to where we can hear you, and tell us your name and where you live. At that point, Brenna will then review the project that's been presented to the city for consideration. Then you as the owner or rep will have a chance to clarify, add, subtract, whatever you'd like to do, say about your project. At that point, we will ask if there's any kind of input from the general public or if there's been any kind of information forwarded to us that needs to be read into the minutes of the meeting. The board will then discuss what we've heard, and at that point, we'll make a decision to either accept or deny the application. So, let's see. It looks like our first one is going to be Michael O'Day. Are you here, Michael?
Sorry, my hearing aid just went on the fritz.
That's okay.
I wonder
We
when
can
you were
relate
gonna
to
turn the
that too.
speaker up. Sorry.
Good deal. And could you say your name and
Try
where
it
you
again.
live?
Good thing about delaying, I'm first on the docket, so thank you. Michael O'Day, 803 Fillmore Alley.
All righty. Brenna,
Okay.
could you review the project for us, please?
So 803 Fillmore Alley, this is a request to enclose the covered porch with wood-clad casement windows with SDLs. The structure is 1970 construction date, zoned historic district residential, non-contributing, and then here are your pictures.
Would you like to say something? Michael, go ahead.
I'm sorry.
Your turn. I'm sorry. I'm not speaking loud enough. I apologize. Go ahead. What would you like to say about your project?
I think it's pretty straightforward. We've been wanting to close it in for some time through a project that I was working on in Louisville. Was able to salvage some beautiful, they're mid-2000s windows, insulated SDLs, so I thought it was the right time.
Okay. Anything else you'd like to tell us about it?
I'm sorry, I apologize, I cannot hear.
Is there anything else you'd like to tell us about it? Anything else?
May I step forward?
You sure may. Yeah.
I'm sorry, yeah, that's really embarrassing.
That's okay. I'm old too. So do you have anything else you'd like to present to the board?
No.
Okay, not at that point.
I probably will have other things in the future. We're slowly
Okay.
but surely kind of, not modernizing it, but giving a little
Sure.
character. We've done a lot of work on the inside.
Sure.
Now we're trying to add some flavor to the outside. It really doesn't have much at this point, so.
Good
yeah,
deal.
yeah.
All righty, well, thank you very much. You can sit down if you'd like. You can sit down if you'd like. You can sit down if you'd like.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
because I'm not doing much good up here.
Well,
Any more
we're-
questions, just call me back up.
We sure will.
Thank you.
Now, is there anyone from the general public that would like to speak to this application? Anyone? Anything forwarded to the city as far as correspondence? No? It's time for discussion by the board members.
You want to ask us if we have any thoughts?
That's what I'm saying, discussion by the board members.
No, I don't.
Any discussion? Anybody? Jed?
Well, just
I'll try
to
to
make
s-
sure we got some discussion on the record, I've looked at the place twice, and in fact, I noticed the house a year or two ago because we had another property not too far away from it that was on. So it's a beautiful piece of property. Beautiful piece of property, and I don't see any harm in what he's doing. It's not a contributing structure, so you got a little bit of wiggle room there. And putting windows in there to enjoy, extend your time that you can sit out there and have coffee and watch the river, makes sense to me. That's my comment.
Okay. Anybody else?
I wanted to say how much I appreciate you using appropriate materials, the fact that you're using SDL windows, and that they wood or aluminum clad.
That was an issue, and of course, I think in the survey that was done of the house, it says it has aluminum windows. Actually, they're vinyl clad from the early 1990s.
1990s.
Yeah, so, but thank you.
And the design is very appropriate. Thank you for the information that allows us to really see what you're doing rather than guessing at it. So I appreciate it. I think it looks great.
Now, we've talked about something being a contributing structure or not. Since your house is new, it's not, considered to be contributing from a historic sense, but your house will be a contributing structure to this town and how it looks from now on. So we're pretty happy with what you're doing. I'm wondering, does anyone have a motion to accept?
I'd like to think that eventually it will be contributing, not to
Yes.
historic value, but to the, at least aesthetic value.
It does already, I think.
Mr. Chair, based upon the preceding discussions, I move that the Madison Historic District Board of Review grant a certificate of appropriateness to Mr. Dewar on Fillmore Avenue.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Brian seconds. We have a vote, please.
Chris Cody? Happy Smith?
Approve.
Bill Jewell?
Approve.
Ken McWilliams?
Approve.
Ryan Rogers?
Approve.
Jared Anderson?
Approve.
Jed Skillman?
Approve.
You passed. You could pick your paperwork up in the city and start as soon as any permits that you might need are enforced. Thank you for coming.
All right, thank you.
Next one is going to be
I'll work on the ears.
520 West Street. 520.
Hi there. Good evening, everyone.
Hello.
Tanner Little, 520 West Street.
Great. Go ahead, Brenna.
Okay, so 520 West Street, this is a request to build a 21-foot by 48-foot two-car garage with one man door and one 19-foot carriage-style garage door. The main structure is contributing Italianate style, built in 1840, and it is zoned Central Business District.
Anything you'd like to add?
Just for context, we're
Content or clarification? Anything you'd like?
sure. So, as it's likely known for many people in this town, parking is at a premium, and so the rationale or interest in this largely is for my wife and I to be able to park our vehicles and to have a small workshop space.
Is it considered to be a four-car garage?
No, sir. It would just be for two vehicles.
I see. Okay.
What kind of shop space? I mean-
Just hobbyist stuff. I dabble as a woodworker in some capacity. Nothing commercial or anything of that interest. Just odds and ends. Some skill set and interest in maintaining a property the age of ours, and so I dabble in that type of and work myself.
Brenda, does this project have the right setbacks on every dimension?
This is going in for zoning review for 0-foot setback in the back.
For
I
which,
don't believe that's the case. So it would be 0-foot side.
The zero lot line?
Correct, but the setback off of the alleyway is significantly further than what is required by the city.
But on the north and the south side, it would be hugging the property line, correct?
That's correct, yes. So just the side boundaries, if that helps for context.
Sure, so I guess I have some concerns with that. It looks like on the drawing that says right elevation, I'm assuming that's the south side elevation.
Do you have the drawing available for me to review?
But you have a man door on that side, and if you're at zero set,
There is no door on either side. This is not correct.
okay,
The only door would be on the backside of our green space, and then the actual garage door
Okay.
are the only two that we had interest in.
okay. And then I also, I guess, so the walls of the property going north to south or south to north, that's 21 foot across, correct?
I believe it's 22.
Okay. And the lot itself is 21 feet across?
No, sorry. The lot is 22 feet. We were
Okay.
proposing a 21-foot structure.
Okay. Do you happen to know I guess the overhang that the roof is going to have on both the north and the south side?
There will be no overhang,
Okay.
so it'll be flush to that is accounting for the 21-foot width, if that
Okay.
helps track.
Okay. So then on top of that, are there going to be any sort of gutters or anything on the building?
Yes, there will be gutters on each side.
Okay. And where will the downspout be?
The downspout will feed to the backside of our property.
Okay.
Will your gutters be half round?
I will admit that I'm not familiar with that term.
Just the half round gutter and matching round downspouts?
Yes, I believe that's the interest, unless there's call for other stylization. We're certainly open to whatever recommendations the board has.
Yeah, that is something that in our guidelines is fairly prominent.
Okay.
Half round and round downspouts.
How tall is the walls on each side? They're taller than normal, aren't they? How high is the garage going to be on the north and south wall?
There are 10-foot walls.
Okay? And then at the peak, how tall is it?
Yes, so I just got an update on that. I'm going to give you the correct figure, if you don't mind me
Okay.
looking it up. Because we spoke with our contractor about changing the grade of the roof pitch, if you will. And so at its peak, it will be, as currently projected,
14
Tw-
feet.
it's actually 12 feet, 8.5 inches, and that's with the updated grading for the roof. We did that in the interest of making the structure lower.
This is going to extend all the way from basically where your alley fence is, clear up to about like 8 feet from your house, correct?
No, there's about 30 feet of space in between where our porch begins and where the back of the structure would be.
Uh-huh. Have you walked around the property with an eye to how it affects other properties in the area?
I'd like to think so. I met with one of our neighbors just yesterday for north of an hour to discuss that very item.
Uh-huh.
So the fence that is between you and your neighbor to the south, that's about that's a 6-foot fence, I'm thinking?
Yes, it's a traditional 6-foot privacy
Okay,
fence.
so this building is going to go twice as high as that fence, if it's a 12-foot total
Yeah,
building?
at the peak.
It'll
That's
be
correct.
a total of, so we always go and walk around the properties and try and take a really close look at things, and so I did some close measuring, and I was seeing it to be more like 8 to 10 feet between the edge of your porch, the final porch roof line in your backyard, between that and where your new pole barn would end. It, by my measurement, was more like 10 feet, because your total, your total your property length is like 70 feet, and then you got your porches, so maybe that's more like 80 feet, and then you got a 48-foot pole barn. I don't, forgive me, but let's look more closely. I think you may not have 30 feet between your building and where your pole barn will end.
So what is, and maybe this is the point of clarification that needs to be, what is the current setback for the property off of the alley as described? Do you know? I know we provided that detail, because we did go back and forth on that detail. I think the latest figure is only 12 feet off of the alley. So I'm not sure.
Oh, so you maybe pushed it back, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, so much
Pushed it
closer
back
to-
from the house?
Because we originally targeted, I believe it was like 25 feet or something absurd, was our original application, and we amended that. If that helps to, frame.
Yeah,
frame
it just
that
had
any
felt
task.
like it was really close to the house, and also from the perspective of your neighbors, it's going to be really occupying such a huge swath
Sure.
of that, what is now open. All those properties are pretty open. It's not like there's no garages back there, but it's quite open now, and this is really going to impact that feeling of open space. Downtown, we got a lot of houses packed in close together. We really got to have maybe even more consideration for our neighbors than in a normal suburban situation where you can kind of you have a lot more leeway. In a close packed-in area like our downtown, your neighbors are really so affected by what you do.
Sure.
Mr. Little, who owns the parking lot that you're going to use to enter and leave your garage?
We would access it via the alley, not the parking lot,
Oh, okay. All right. No, I read that wrong. Thanks.
of course.
Now, are you going to take the fence down that's on the north side?
We
The
will
board
be
fence?
repairing, the fence is in fairly poor condition, truthfully, and so our interest would be replacing the fence in its entirety around the property with effectively what's there right now, just a traditional privacy cedar fence.
Okay. Anybody else have anything?
Will there be room to put in a new fence if you're hugging the
Yeah.
property line?
We would have effectively 6 inches of clearance on each side.
Okay. I'm not sure I feel comfortable
I agree.
either voting yes or no on this before you visit BZA. Because as it stands now, I wouldn't think they would approve this. And therefore, then you'd have to come back before us, we'd have to redesign it. And
To be fair, we did apply for BZA back in, I believe, February, or January, so that we could have that meeting in February in advance of this. However, the most recent meeting was not able to establish a quorum. They didn't have enough members in attendance. And so we did attempt to have our due diligence to, go through zoning appeal in advance of today's conversation.
I appreciate that, but Mr. Chair, I have the same concerns that Jared has, that I don't want to send an approval to the zoning board when they will say, what were you thinking? So,
I feel like you have a very good point.
I have a
I
couple of
think we're
questions.
getting kind of the horse, or the cart before the horse here, so to speak.
Go ahead.
I have a couple of questions. It's more about materials. The G-rib panel on the roof, is that a standard pole barn roofing system?
It's just a metal roof. I believe there was, and forgive me, as I'm going to put you in the hot seat. Do you recall what the name of the roofing construction was that you had requested or recommended?
Standing seam, I believe, is what we talked
Yeah.
about.
Just a traditional metal roof. I'm not well versed in that, but we're certainly open to whatever recommendation the board would have as far as that's concerned.
Do you know whether it's exposed fasteners or whether it's a blind fastening system?
I'm not familiar, I'm afraid.
I'm going to make the assumption, since in the description it says architectural and commercial projects, that it's probably an exposed fastening system,
Okay.
which really takes away from the appearance of the building. Now, it looks like you're upgrading to board and batten. Do you know whether it's an exposed fastening system or?
I don't believe so. It looks, I provided some reference images, I believe. It looks to me as though it, mirrors the finish of a traditional, wooden board and batten. And I did want to speak toward that as well. We're not particularly married to that. I offered some rationale for that, like faux wood metal siding, but we did that with the interest of it looking somewhat, appropriate as far as that's concerned. But if there's strong preference for the siding material to be actual wood, we're open to that opportunity as well.
Well, that would definitely help. My concerns on the project is the square footage or the footprint of the garage is very similar to the house. I think there's a 50 square foot difference between them. And you usually want a garage to be some more subordinate to the house, so a smaller scale where it represents itself as a garage or storage unit. It actually is as big as a house, other than not being 2 stories. So to me, it looks like a commercial or agricultural building as opposed to a garage. I appreciate the fact that you're trying to give it some kind of wood siding, but if you look at the elevations of the building, there's no windows, there's no architectural features, it's just big plain walls and low-pitched roofs, which gives it that architectural and commercial appearance. And I'd heard somebody mention, is it 1 door or 2 doors on the end?
One door.
1 door.
Yes.
So again, that's leans more towards commercial or agricultural as opposed to residential.
Because the rationale behind that is because the egress for the property is so tight. I drive a F-250, and so the alleyway being as narrow as what it is, having even at the proposed 21-foot width, having 2 garage doors would not necessarily permit me to actually make the turn in order to access the property.
I got a question. How long have you lived in there, or owned the property?
We've been in Madison for
Oh, no, in that house.
about a decade now, and we've
You've been in there 10 years, huh?
8 years, I believe.
Okay. I gotta say, I'm very uncomfortable with the whole project. It is, if I lived in one of the houses next to it, I'd be upset. Because part of the value of your house is not just your house, but what you see. And that's what all the houses in downtown Madison, you pick one out. Probably 75% have great views. Like, look out that window right there. You know, it's a beautiful small town urban landscape. And when you put if you imagine a 12-foot wall right outside that window, you would lose value for your house, assuming you're the type of person that likes, living in downtown Madison, and you don't live in Madison just because you have to, but you want to. And we have to bear that in mind. Just plastering a wall right up next to the property line here on the house that's next to you, and then there's there's another house, if I can remember it right, that also would share that view, which is hills, buildings, that end of downtown Madison. And that's asking a lot, to put a wall right up there and just cut off that view. That's my comment at the moment.
So just to clarify a few things. So there's only one garage door, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So
One
the application,
garage door, one traditional walk-through door, if you will.
Okay, so the application shows 2 garage doors.
There was an updated updated graphic that was shared for that. The details only one garage door.
Okay, I'm not sure we received that. And then additionally, so it is now just 12 foot tall, not the 13 foot 8 inches that this drawing shows.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. So I think with all of that and the difference, I guess the change in setbacks on the property line, I don't feel like we can. Would you be willing to table it until you go to BZA, or until we get a more accurate application?
To be fair, I've provided that information and application in advance, so I can't speak for what you have in front of you.
Yeah.
We have provided that, and once again, I don't mean to offer a disservice, but we did attempt to go through BZA in advance of this conversation. So I agree that would have likely been the best path. It's just not where we arrived.
I'm just afraid that we will likely vote it down if
Sure.
you don't table it and hear BZA out first.
That's not going to be important to my vote. My vote is, what does this do to that neighborhood there?
Right, but again, I think a lot of those decisions have to be overseen by BZA, specifically on the lot line. But there's 3 or 4 big questions that aren't even accurate in the application.
I have an issue with what you're calling out for your roofing. In chapter 15.4, we talk about, quote, use standing seam metal roof with a crimped edge or the appearance of a crimped edge. That, I think, is the only style that we have okayed in a metal roof for quite a while, is a true standing seam, and it is available all around town. Are you considering that?
Yeah, so once again, in terms of the materials, I personally am not I don't have strong convictions or am married to that. I think we asked questions as to what would be preferential, and this is where we arrived in our application, and so I apologize if that's not reflected, but in terms of our willingness to do that, it's not even a question, more than happy to.
I see.
I have a question about the height. So the walls are staying the same height, but the overall height come down?
Correct. The pitch of the roof is changing.
So the pitch is going down, not up?
Correct.
So if it was 412 at 4 feet, if we're 2 foot now, it's a 212 pitch. So it's almost very flat roof pitch, which in the historic district, one of the things they look for is a higher pitch to make it look more appropriate for surrounding buildings. So I agree with the rest of the board. There's a lot of things, and we all seem to have a different thing that we're having issues with.
Sure.
I'm not sure where to go with it.
I would just like to add, this is really almost repeating what Jed said, but it's coming out of our historic guidelines, so this is what we use to kind of determine the appropriateness of stuff that comes before this board. And I'm reading here on page 94. The construction of new buildings in the historic district can either complement adjacent historic buildings or erode the character of the surrounding area. Likewise, a prominent and visible addition to any historic building can easily result in the loss of visual continuity and cohesiveness of a streetscape. So I think, the guidelines speak to individual buildings, what it does for an individual building, but also the landscape as a whole. We got our National Historic Landmark District designation because of the continuity of our district, because it is, a very wonderfully preserved 19th century river town all over across it. So the whole look of it, the whole fabric of it is what is very critically important to our historic district. So when you introduce something that's in a really visible location, you're visible from 3 sides. Unfortunately for you, you got a kind of like a corner lot. It just really does have an impact on the streetscape, so.
I do want to say, I don't see the updated drawings. Do you know where they uploaded maybe for BZA instead?
I can't speak toward that, I'm afraid. So,
Okay, because I don't think I have them, which is why you guys don't have them.
Anyone else have a question of this? Chris, go ahead.
Yeah, I'd like to just offer a few quick thoughts. I agree with many of the concerns expressed by my fellow board members, but I also want to make sure to offer this homeowner a bit of encouragement. If you are indeed willing to go with more appropriate materials like wood and study the pitch of the roof and other things, I think that a garage in this space could be a valuable addition to this property. I don't share all of my fellow board members' concerns about the neighbors. I see that you're adjacent to a parking lot and you're not adjacent to any buildings, just to their backyards. I do agree, though, that with the deficiencies in the application right now, and we've had many issues before with approving things that were not exactly as the drawings submitted to us reflected, and then completely different things than we intended to approve being built. And I think that we need to be very careful about only approving accurate drawings of what actually is going to go there. And it seems as though that's not what's unfortunately on the table in front of us. And I say unfortunately because, again, I really want to encourage this homeowner to stick with it. I think that this is an important investment in this property. I see its utility, and I don't think that it will degrade the neighboring properties to an unreasonable degree if the materials are rethought and made to be more appropriate. So just wanted to share those thoughts and not to have the applicant feel beat down by us in any way, shape, or form, and to understand that we do appreciate what he's trying to do. And it's incredibly unfortunate that that BZA meeting was that they didn't have a quorum, because I think that also would have changed a lot of our concerns today if we had more clarity, perhaps more guidance from the BZA on the overall massing and footprint of this. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else from the board? Questions, anything? If you'd like to have a seat, we will continue with the rest of the meeting. Is there anyone from the general public that would like to speak? Excuse me. Ma'am, go ahead. Please come up. Tell us your name and where you live, if you could, please.
Hi, I'm Margaret Nowling. I live at 518 West Street. My property adjoins Tanner's property. We share, that long fence. Well, it's his fence.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, I do have problems with the building. I have problems with it being metal. We're not supposed to have metal buildings downtown because, well, in our area, there are no other metal buildings, so it's inappropriate to put a new metal building in. Also, from what I understand, in Madison, there is a law, I guess you would call it, that has to do with the percentage of the building to the property. It's called the floor area ratio. And I wonder if that has been looked at all, because this building takes up a heck of a lot of space. This room, from that corner to this drape here, is about 48 feet. And 12 feet is up there. That's going to be my view to the north. How's that going to affect my property value? My personal value, I find it distressing. So imagine we've got this metal siding, we've got a metal roof, we have no windows on that wall. It blocks my view of the hills to the north, and it makes my garden, which is already small, feel much smaller. The width of his lot, I guess, is 22 feet, and he's going for a 21-foot building. According to the drawing, the building goes right to the property line with no setback. And I wanted to know, you've already asked about gutters, I wanted to know if the gutters were going to be outside of the drawing, or where are they? If he doesn't put gutters on, is the water just going to run into my yard? The sun is going to shine on that metal building from the south all day long. And it's going to be very hot in the summer. It's going to be very unpleasant. If he goes with that width, then no, I'm not going to build a garage. But so what I understand, that a metal building is not suitable in a residential area if there are no other metal buildings. So if there were mobile homes in the area, then it might be appropriate because they are also metal. I guess that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you for coming. Anyone else from the general public like to speak? We've had a letter forwarded to the city about this, and I'm going to read it into the record right now. This is from Kim and John Nyberg at, 516 West Street is where they live. And as owners of the house located at 516 West Street, we are writing to respond to an application presented to the City of Madison HDBR by Tanner and Anna Little for the property located at 520 West Street. On Saturday, March 22nd, we learned about a project proposed by our neighbors to build a large structure in the back of their house, and we were startled by the size of the proposed structure. As Kim talked with Tanner and reviewed the proposed project, she realized the size of the structure and how the view would be compromised for the adjoining neighbors. Although we understand the family's need to have a two-car garage and attached shop, we believe that the size of the lot and the constraints of the property should not allow such a large structure to be built. The proposed structure has a 12-foot setback from the alley. It's 21.0 feet wide and overhang gutters on a 22-foot wide lot. It is 48 feet length and 12'8" to the peak. This is too large. The early 19th century brick collection of townhouses located in the 500 block of West Street are great examples of unaltered historic properties both on the west side of the street and the alley side. Properties located in the Madison National Historic Landmark District deserve a closer look when oversized garages or additions are proposed. Please consider allowing this structure to be built, but in a more appropriate size and design for a Madison neighborhood. Thank you, Kim and John Nyberg. Okay. Discussion by the board members.
May I offer a response?
Yes, go ahead.
So, thank you, Margaret, for coming. I do want it on record that I met with Kim yesterday, and we discussed at length. And one of the items that I was hoping to relay is that, once again, we're not particularly married to the materials. That's why I had mentioned that in email to Brenna. And so, in part for Kim's concern, and then I want to speak toward Margaret's item as well, as far as using more appropriate materials, be it wood or what have you. I'm certainly open to any opportunity. We want to be, good stewards and neighbors and things of that nature. I recognize that that's not what is currently in the application. That's what we're speaking toward, but I just wanted to offer that kindness and context. So, we're certainly open to further revision and tabling it for the time being. It sounds as though maybe some of this is premature.
If you'd like to go ahead and table, we can make a motion and do that now. I would be very comfortable with you doing that. I think we need a little more time for planning on this particular project. And it sounds like you're willing to work with us, but, when we get to the point in the project where it's defined as metal roofing and metal siding and that kind of thing,
Sure.
But then we're changing all to wood and to standing seam, I feel like that we should be saying that in our original application, so we're accurate and we know that when you build it, that you've built what we okayed.
Yeah, and I don't mean to be unkind toward anyone, but I did raise these concerns before we submitted our application. I came to City Hall and discussed, is it even worth our while for us to propose a metal structure, or should we go with a different material? And I was told that, in no uncertain terms, that would be, that there are metal structures within a block of our property, and that it was not a concern, that we could go ahead and submit application. And so I don't want to pass the blame on to anyone in any capacity. That's not my interest, but it sounds as though there's some conflicting information. So I'm happily table if that's the conversation that needs to occur, but I would ask that if there are any additional resources or if anyone's willing to have conversation, I'd greatly appreciate any assistance or input.
Mr. Chair, we also have, Mr. Little, you need to adjust the mass of your building,
Yes,
so it's just too big.
I think
TFB.
if you could provide a recommendation for what would be more appropriate.
I think down by a third or more. I'm talking significant, so it fits into the lot.
A standard two-car garage, where if you're going to do a wood project, you got to back the cars out, like a lot of people have had to do in the past. I don't mean to take the mic away
That's fine.
from
Go
you.
over. No, I'm done.
But it is just too big.
Thank you.
I'd like to just quickly acknowledge that I thought that the letter from the Nybergs was excellent, and that I think that there is every every chance for a building to be approved here on this site after further study, revision of the materials, but I really don't think, given the fact that it doesn't conform to zoning right now and hasn't gone through BZA, and the application is not complete in front of us, that we could approve it. In terms of the mixed guidance on metal, our guidelines are guidelines. They're not hard and fast laws. We have other metal structures, I believe, on tonight's agenda. So people do propose metal, and I don't think that anyone at the city might have given you inaccurate guidance in saying that you can bring it forward. But certainly for a structure of this size, in a visible location, having it be of high quality wood, ideally, is paramount, and I think will also go a long ways towards making the neighbors more comfortable with the project. So again, I want to thank the property owner for moving forward to make this investment in this property, and to just encourage him to take this feedback, restudy it, the massing, certainly the materials, make sure that the drawings that our Historic Preservation Commission staff have are accurate, and then I look forward to hopefully in the future approving something for you to use here. Again, a bit smaller and a bit different, but this is not an absolute no, at least not from me.
Okay, thank you. No, greatly appreciate it, and appreciate everyone's time this evening. I don't mean to monopolize the conversation.
Okay, well, do I hear a motion to table his application for a month to give him time to do a little more planning?
I move that we table the application at 520 West Street until the project is designed more down to a more bite-sized project.
Do I hear a second?
I second that.
Could we have a vote, please, Jenna?
Chris Cody,
Approve.
Happy Smith,
Approve.
Bill Jewell,
Approve.
Kim McWilliams,
Approve.
Ryan Rogers,
Approve.
Jared Anderson,
Approve.
Jed Skillman.
Approve.
All right, let's see. Next one will be John Deuce at 910 East 2nd Street. Thank you for coming.
Yeah, thank you for having us. This is my wife, Rhonda.
Hello, Rhonda.
So we've just moved to Madison recently, into 910 East 2nd Street. And, I don't think I guess I need to say my name just.
Sure,
So
go ahead.
John Deuce and Rhonda Deuce.
All righty.
Okay, and,
Brenna, could you review the project, and then it'll be your turn?
Just 1 second. So 910 East 2nd, this is a request to build a 24-foot by 30-foot two-car metal pole barn garage on the southeast corner of the property. The house is zoned Historic District Residential, and the main structure was built in 1900, and it is a contributing structure.
All right, go ahead.
so on the property today, so we have a fairly large lot compared to what the one that we just talked about. But we're looking to put the two-car garage in the back corner. It's off the property lines, so it's not real close to the property lines. There's an existing shed, 10 by 12-foot shed in that corner right now that I've got a contractor, an excavating contractor that will attempt to move it. It's pretty rotten underneath, so it may fall all apart and we just have to throw it away. But the plan is to move it at this point over about 5 foot away from the garage.
Okay.
Okay. So we're using Gossman Construction, local contractor. I'm sure you all know them. And it's already, there'll be some additional rock that will need to be put in to level out the area. It's about a total of 1.5 foot drop, but they will build the building. They would build the building, and then we backfill into the building, and then it'll have a concrete floor. Is there anything else? Rhonda can talk about the colors.
I'm the artist.
Usually, color is not anything that we look at that much. Normally, color is not anything that we look at all that much.
You can make it polka dot.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Well, we would prefer you not, but
No, we're trying to match the looks of the property. So, and we have talked to all the neighbors, and they're all very excited about the project.
Okay.
So,
And there is a property with a metal building. It's a dentist's office
that's across of the creek.
behind us. That
And they've got it's larger than our, yeah, it's close to the same, but it's actually larger than the building up.
okay. Any other board members have questions for him?
I want to thank you for the very most wonderful site plan we have
Yes.
seen in a long time. It's clear, everybody can understand it. It has all of the important information and only the needed information. I'm going to ask Brenna to put it on the wall at the office and say, this is what it needs to look like.
graphic artist.
Thank you, thank you. So you probably can tell from the previous discussion that pole barns are really, really a worry and an issue. You know, we just can't have a historic district that's, got pole barns everywhere. But your property, so I walked around your property, and your property has the advantage of, there's no alley behind your property, there's no alley next to your property, there's no street for many houses on either side. You go down into that wooded ravine with the creek, and right now you can see that pole barn from the bridge road, but in 2 weeks, when all the trees leaf out, you won't be able to even see it. So our guidelines do say that, if it can't be seen from a public right-of-way, that there is more leeway for what homeowners can do. So I do think the siding here, and also it's a reasonably sized pole barn, and it's not a two-story pole barn. So I do feel like there's some things here that mitigate the situation here and make it possibly more of a situation where we could have an exception.
Anybody else?
Kind of the same questions. Do you know whether the metal is exposed fasteners on the roof and the
I have
siding?
no idea.
Looking at the drawings, it looks like they spec pretty much standard pole barn stuff, which is the big screws sticking out the side and on the roof, so.
Well, if they're, I mean, I can talk to the construction company if it needs to be made just a bit different. I'm sure it'd be a bit of an increased cost, but that's fine. I mean, I just want to do the right thing, so. I would be fine with, changing it up some if that's appropriate.
Our guidelines really specify either a shingle roof or a standing seam metal roof. And I think we're going to have to stick with that as much as we can. That standing seam metal roof gives you some similarity to other things that are in town.
Okay.
So we just need to ask them to put
A standing seam, a true standing seam roof on. Right. And as far as siding, though, if it's metal siding, I know we have okayed the metal board and batten pattern. Would you consider that?
I'm not sure. I'm
I'm
not,
kind of deaf. I couldn't hear. what
Oh,
you
I'm
said.
sorry. The metal standing seam roof is the one that we really like to see, or a shingle roof, but nothing else other than those two. So if you could go with that.
Yeah.
And then the siding on it also, once again, we don't really want to see barn siding, but we have seen this really nice board and batten metal siding that goes up that has that look of board and batten and has conceal fasteners too, that Ryan is getting at. So wondered if you would be willing to go that direction.
Yes.
yeah, I think so. I mean, I don't know why not.
Okay.
And I just have to see what I assume that they do that, that company does that type of work.
I wouldn't assume that. Most of what they're going to do has barn siding on it. Yeah, that's most of what they do, which is fine in suburbia, but in downtown it's not.
So are we potentially having to change contractors because of this?
I'm sure your contractor can put on metal standing seam just the same way they could put on Pro Panel 2 or Pro Panel 1.
Okay.
Kind of a thing, so. All right. Well, if you all would like to sit down, we'll have a discussion by the board.
Okay,
Go ahead.
thanks.
Before we discuss, anyone from the general public like to speak to this application? Nobody? Okay. Board members, any thoughts?
Well, just to lead off the thing, we're still talking about a pole barn in the historic district. And so, that is basically out of bounds. Now, how do we make that work so you could put a structure back there? How do we change it so that it doesn't have pole barn written all over it? And the board and batten look, okay, you're talking in the right direction. The standing seam or shingle roof, it's another thing. But the doors on the front, is it one or two? I can't remember. Two. Another help on the thing is doors that don't look like just roll-up suburban doors. They look like they have a pattern. They make them like that. That looks like they're swing-out barn doors, but they're really roll-up. Carriage style. Thank you, Ken. So the whole thing is take it as far away from pole barn as you can possibly get. That's my comment at the moment.
Okay. Anybody else? Anybody else? Is there anyone from the general public like to speak to this one? Nope. Anything forwarded to us? Haven't seen anything. Sounds like we need to make a decision here. If you're willing to go with a standing seam roof and wood siding, I think we could okay your project. And when I say wood siding, either wood or the board and batten pattern.
You mean board and batten pattern in the middle too?
Yes.
Is that what you mean?
In the middle,
I would just
right.
specify that, that's all.
Yeah.
And roll-up carriage doors. Just point out, just to the east of you, you've just moved here recently, about a block and a half east of you, someone has bought like an 1840, or was it earlier than that, house, and they're putting a lot into that. So we love when people do that. And your house is a great house. I mean, you got a gem there. But we have to maintain the integrity of the property, or as years go by, you've made this kind of, and over here, well, that was good enough then, and you have to maintain the integrity of the property. That's all we're concerned with.
Kind of sounds to me like the board feels that if you had your standing seam roof and a wood-sided building on there, that we would approve that in the current location and the current size. Would you be interested in having us make a motion to that effect?
Well, when you say wood side, I think you were saying the metal siding that looks like more like wood,
Yes, we could, I think we would agree.
right? Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Okay. Do I hear a motion to approve that way?
Based upon the preceding discussions, I move that the Madison District Board of Review grant a certificate of appropriateness to the Deuces on Second Street, right? First Street? Second Street? Second Street. If the garage has a standing seam roof, board and batten aluminum siding, and a carriage-style door, garage door.
Do we hear a second?
Second.
Brenna, can we have a roll call, please? Not roll, excuse me, a vote.
Approved.
Happy Smith,
Approve.
Bill Jewell,
Approve.
Ken McWilliams,
Approve.
Ryan Rogers,
Disapprove.
Jared Anderson,
Approve.
Jed Skillman.
Approve.
You have passed. You may pick your paperwork up from the city and start whenever you have all your permits in place. Thank you for coming. All right. Looks like the next one will be Deborah Watkins at 418-420 West Main Street. No? Oh, okay. Go ahead. You must be the representative then. Tell us your name and where you live, please.
I'm Lauren Hirschberger. I live in Madison. I'm the contractor that Deborah Watkins has hired.
All righty. Brenna?
So this is 418-420 East Main Street. This is a contributing structure in the Craftsman style. The survey says that it was constructed in 1920. However, additional materials provided later show that the house did appear on the 1886 Sanborn map, and a deed transfer shows that it existed possibly prior to 1871 as a single address, so we'll see that in a second. This request is to remove the non-original door and replace it with an aluminum clad window to match the others, and this is zone specialty district.
Anything you could tell us about this more?
We noticed when we took the trim off that the framing around the second door was conventional pine, and the other framing in the house has been the old rough sawn poplar. So it would speak to the door being added in a much later time frame than the house was built. Other than that, the plan would be to put a window in that's exactly matching the height of the other windows across the front of the house.
Okay. Anything else?
I'm going to read this in because the text is a little bit small. This says, a portion of the deed transfer that refers to lot 66 as part of the description and discusses partitioning the home in half, indicating the house existed prior to 1871.
So the
Anything
Watkins are returning it to a single-family dwelling.
Right, yeah. Going back to single family.
These
Right.
pictures also, they're not super easy to see, but these are on the door that they believe is original, and this shows beveled glass compared to the other one, which is just flat glass.
Okay. Any other board members have questions? Anything?
I want to just thank you for the thoroughness of the historical research here and for paying attention when you uncovered that trim and for noticing that the trim was different. The Sanborn maps, the deed, the historical detective work here is just absolutely wonderful, and restoring it to its original appearance, its original structure is just fabulous. Thank you, and thank Deborah very much.
You're welcome.
Anybody else from the board have concerns? Anything? Honestly, it sounds like you have one of the better applications we've seen for a while. We really do like it when you're turning something back to what it used to be. So if board members are fine, do we have a motion to accept?
I do have a question.
Oh, go ahead, Ryan, I'm sorry.
So you're putting an aluminum clad window in, but the rest of the windows are wood, or they're being changed to aluminum clad
They
as
will
well?
be also replaced with the aluminum clad window.
And has that been approved by staff already, or?
I don't know at what
That
point
has
the
not been-
Watkins
That has not been submitted yet.
want to approach that. But I do
How
think
do
they,
we approve an aluminum clad window?
That kind of puts us in a bad spot.
So we're approving the return to the original opening, but the actual specific windows that will be placed, that will be, you will come back and get another approval for those? Is that what's going to happen?
yes.
Okay.
I mean, are you anticipating replacing all the windows in the house?
No. I believe at this point they plan to replace the front windows because of being poorly insulated and to help with the sound inside the home.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And because I don't have wood window available to put in, we want to
Right.
go with one that would be approved. And then once they are ready to replace the remaining front windows, that would be a separate step.
Okay.
Your new window is going to look just like the windows that are currently in the house?
Yes,
Okay, thank you.
Same manufacturer, same model? Is that what you're saying, or just, are they?
Design.
I move that the Madison Historic Board of Review, based on the preceding discussion, approve the return of the facade of this building to its original structure by removing the left-hand side, looking at the building, it's the door on the left, right?
Yes.
The left-hand side door to a window opening, reserving the window, specific window model and make application to a future meeting. I move that we approve this work at, where are we?
418, 420
At
Main.
418, 420 Main Street.
I second that.
Can we have a vote, please?
Jared, you were the second?
Yeah, yep.
Okay, Chris Cody,
Approved.
Happy Smith,
Approve.
Bill Jewell,
Approve.
Kim McWilliams,
Approve.
Ryan Rogers,
Approved.
Jared Anderson,
Approve.
Jed Skillman.
Approve.
Well, it sounds like you're a long ways down the road on this. If we can get the approval for the other windows, I think you're going to have a good go-ahead on this one.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for coming. Next one will be the Riverboat Inn, Mr. Gray, or Zach in this case.
I was about to say, I will be representing Mr. Gray today. I've actually got Ashley on the phone. Would you like me to approach you guys up there and hand you this, or just keep it on speaker back here?
Just, yeah, just hold it up to the microphone.
All right.
Up there would be fine.
Howdy, Chad.
All right, Donna, could you review the project that's been proposed?
Yes. 906 East First Street. This is a non-contributing structure.
Can you hear me?
It was
Yes,
constructed
we hear
in
you.
the 1970s, zoned general business, and this request is to construct a new building for bathrooms, bar, and storage.
All right. Zach, anything you'd like to tell us a little bit more, or?
About the building? Chad, is there anything you'd like to tell us more about the building?
The building that's going up,
Correct.
it's going to be like a limestone textured.
Building, it's going to have, it's going to be pine. So it's going to be wood and it's going to be stone. It's the same stone and the same block that's looked at the, that's the same as the Madison Overlook, as well as Heritage Trail. It's just not going to be a brown texture. I think both of those are brown, and this one is like a limestone look, more natural to the building that you know, the deck and patio that's already at the riverboat.
Okay.
I did do a simple layout. There is a more detailed layout, but it is a bar, restrooms, everything is up to code with FEMA. So the elevations, it is on the lower lawn, but it is elevated like 6 feet. So all plumbing and everything's up to code with FEMA and floodplain, stuff like that. So I think that's about it. There will be a roof, and then it will be a shingled roof that'll match what's already at the riverboat.
Okay. Thank you for having this picture up here. It's a lot easier to see than the one that we came through on email. It's a very nice looking structure. I'd have to say that when you come over the bridge from Milton and you come into Madison, you see two real keystone type properties to me. One is the cotton mill and the other is the Riverboat Inn. The cotton mill being a contributing structure to our history, the Riverboat Inn being contributing to the feeling of that part of town. I'd like to compliment here Mr. and Mrs. Gray, Ashley and Chad, on the work they've done here and on buildings like the Hen and Ben Center and the other buildings around there. They've certainly made a giant difference in how that end of town looks. I'm very impressed with it.
Thank you, Bill.
Anyone else?
I have a question. So I'm seeing the retaining wall there, and then I'm seeing the building behind the retaining wall. Right now, that building kind of comes down at a slope. So are you leveling some portion of that sloped portion of the building to then put your building on the level ground?
Yeah, so the actual, the entire hillside is, there's going to be so if you're looking at the riverboat, there's the patio, and to do the retaining wall,
That's on the back side there. It's going to be about 9 feet wide is what it takes. So there's about 10 feet of distance of that hill from the deck, and it comes down the hill. There's only going to be about 10 feet of that hill. Right now there's about 60 feet. And we're taking all of that out. So we're bringing in the excavators, we're making that flat, and we're making it level. So it's just going to be the hillside. I'm not actually coming out into my yard at all. We're just taking out of the hill, and we're putting everything inside of that hill. Right now I have a staircase that comes down. It used to go down to a little wood deck. Actually, before I had bought the place, it had like an outhouse type restroom, and it had a lot of stuff on that hill or at the bottom of the hill. I've removed all that, and this is going to take all the place of that. So it's actually, we're cutting out the hill. So it's going into the hill. It's not going to be out in my lawn.
Okay, great. That's very clarifying. Thank you.
And then the rooftop will be below my patio, so which doesn't matter for your guys' sake. But we're looking off the top deck, you won't even see what's below you unless you're looking downward. It's not going to block. It won't block any existing structure that's already there. It'll just clean up the hillside. I mean, a lot of it's been cleaned up. Now it's just a hillside. But, it's going within the hillside.
Sounds like an awesome project. Thank you so much for all the time and effort to plan it.
Thank you for clarifying that, Jed.
Appreciate that.
Anybody else have questions?
I do. I'm a fan of the project. I think it looks great, but I can't make the picture match the schematic that you laid out. Has there been any...
So this is what I ran into. I needed to get into this meeting. I've met with City Hall 2-3 times. Even Nicole when she was there. To make sure that this was going to be somewhat of a go. And I wasn't necessarily in a hurry. I do need to get it done by August. And I have a more detailed architecture drawings that are getting made up right now with the architects. And they should be ready within 2 weeks. Now, I had to submit this application 30 days ago or whatnot, close to that, 25 days ago, whatever. But I needed to get it into this meeting, so it's not exact. It is very close. And just the cost of materials obviously is going up. I'm looking at like 24 semis a block coming 100 miles away. So cost of diesel, gas, it's on the rise. So I needed to make this meeting. I do have better drawings, but I really can't get postponed another month given what's going on. So I have, if you're looking at that building, if you're looking at it, there are 2 doors, one on each side of the building that's there. Those are not there. Other than that, it's very similar to what the drawing has, or the picture that you have. Now, there is, if you're looking at the picture, there are, I think, 4 pillars on that. I'm not looking at the picture right now. Those posts are wooden, and they're like lined up with the bar, but they're actually going to be about 13 feet out, and then there's going to be an area that is covered. But other than that, it's very close to what you see. It is a little different, but it's same materials.
Well, I'm a big fan of Riverboat, and I actually love the concept, but honestly, a commercial project on the riverfront, I could not approve it without truer drawings. I need something more to digest and know where we're going. As we've mentioned in other projects today, we tend to figure out a way to get things approved, and we have these hypothetical certificates of approval, and then what gets built, nobody really knows until it's built. This one's important. I love the concept.
Yeah, this
I love everything
one's
about
very...
it, but I couldn't.
Sorry, yeah, go ahead. I hear you.
I'm just saying, I love the concept. I don't want you to feel that I'm being negative towards it. It's just, this is an important one, and I need to see more.
Mr. Chair, I always agree with Ryan when he talks about we need to have accurate schematics, except today. But we have history with these folks. They always deliver, and if they're saying they're going to build that, then I'm all in.
Yes.
Mr. Chair, the grays certainly have earned it. In my mind, I would approve either the photo or what they've submitted in the drawing. I agree we need more accurate drawings, but I think we have enough in this packet to vote on as is, and I'm prepared to approve the application.
I feel the same way. Should we have a vote on this here? Is there anyone, before we vote, anyone from the general public like to speak? Mr. Mayor, please come up.
Good evening. Thank
Hello,
you.
Mr.
It's been interesting meeting. I just want to echo what the board is saying with regards to the work that Chad and his family have done in that area, and I trust that based on the discussions we've had, it'll be a complementary investment on our riverfront. It's becoming a destination area in that part of our riverfront, and it's also going to complement the work that we're going to be doing right next door on Welch Park and down the river. So thank you guys for giving it strong consideration, and I would approve this if I was on the board.
All righty. I don't think we've had anything forwarded written to the city, have we, to read in? Well, would somebody like to make a motion to approve?
I move that the Madison Historic District Board of Review approve the work being proposed to the Riverboat Inn based on the drawings that we've seen and the description given to us verbally.
And do we hear a second?
I second.
All right. How about a vote?
Chris Cody.
Approve.
Happy Smith.
Approve.
Bill Jewell.
Approve.
Ken McWilliams.
Approve.
Ryan Rogers.
Disapprove.
Jared Anderson.
Approve.
Judd Skillman.
Disapprove.
You have passed. You may pick your paperwork up from the city. As soon as your permits are in place, you can get started.
Thank you very much, Bill.
We
You guys
look
have a good day.
forward, we look forward to seeing the finished product.
Appreciate it, guys.
All right, thank you, Jack. Let's see now, Lisa Ruggiero, is that how it is? Lisa?
She was here, and she said she wanted to come back next month.
Oh, okay.
So she left towards the beginning of the meeting, so she
Well,
has asked for a
let's
table.
make it official and we'll postpone, we'll table it. Do I hear a motion to table her application until next month?
I move. Okay, I move that we table the application for Lisa Reggio, located at 704 West Street, until next month's meeting.
Do I hear a second?
I second that.
Could we have a vote, please?
Chris Cody. Happy Smith.
Approve.
Bill Jewell.
Approve.
Ken McWilliams.
Approve.
Ryan Rogers.
Approve.
Jared Anderson.
Approve.
Judd Skillman.
Approve.
All right, I think we need to move on here to any new or old business. Anyone have any new or old business from the board?
Well.
Jed, go ahead.
Yeah, just a personal comment on the, and it might have been the Riverboat Inn. The drawings that came in and were sent to us, when they come up on my computer, I have to turn it this way or that way, and could we get a consistent, everything vertical
Do you mean in the packet that was
in
sent?
the packet that's sent?
Yeah.
So however they're scanned through,
I think,
flip them so that they line up, because on my computer, if I try to correct the orientation, it recorrects everything else.
I do believe that some of them ended up way larger than the rest of the pictures. I'm not sure why that happened, but that could be playing a part in it, so I'll fix
Yeah,
that.
just down the road. Yep, thanks.
Anybody else? Anyone else? Other new or old business? Could we have a staff report, please?
Yes. So this month we have had 5 so far. 2 signs, a roof, and 2 fences. And actually one of those fences was for the Deuces who were here earlier, so that will further hide what they're building. And then for our annual review, it was a lot busier last year. All of them have been completed except for the windows at 835 West 3rd Street, the windows at 135 East Main Street, those are in progress. And then the sign at 108 East Main Street, Mag Simulations, they did not decide to put that out.
Okay. Anything else on that? We're all done? I wanted to ask if anyone from the general public wanted to speak to any of the applications or anything at this point. No? We have not had anything forwarded to the city, so it looks to me like it's about time to adjourn. Do we hear a motion to adjourn?
I will move that we adjourn the meeting.
And a second?
I second that.
All in favor? Say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion.
Wait here for a second so I can talk to you.
Okay.